Claudia, a management engineering student, has decided to apply for a prestigious master's program in artificial intelligence applied to business management. The selection process includes an entrance test that assesses skills in data analysis, modeling, and business analytics. During her degree program, Claudia received a basic introduction to these topics, but she decided to dedicate time to studying them independently. She studied insightful textbooks, took online courses on platforms like Coursera, EDX, and so on, and explored various topics in depth through conversations with her LLM. However, with the test approaching, she still feels the need to assess her skill level and reinforce what she has learned. Claudia isn't quite sure how to go about it, but she starts by making a request to her LLM. I need to review these topics thoroughly. I'd like to start with business analytics. Ask me questions about every aspect, definitions, types, and business applications. As you can see, her LLM starts asking her questions. Definition. What is business analytics, and what is its primary purpose in organizations? How does business analytics support the decision-making process? Types of business analytics. What is the difference between descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive business analytics? And so on. It's a start. But can we do better? Let's take a small step back and understand the context. Claudia is in that exact moment we've all experienced before a test, when it's necessary to do a thorough review, consolidate the knowledge acquired, and strengthen our ability to recall it. From the perspective of cognitive psychology, the activity of retrieval, or information retrieval, or reviewing, to use a more common term, is a fundamental cognitive process for learning because it allows knowledge to be consolidated and made usable over time. Consolidation not only improves memory retention but also enhances understanding. Studies such as those by Rodiger and Karpicki show that regularly practicing retrieval improves both the ability to remember information and the understanding and application of that information. In practice, by revisiting content, we not only memorize it better, but also understand it more deeply, because retrieving information strengthens neural connections, making knowledge more accessible and better integrated with what we already know. Previous knowledge, and in this way, memory and understanding develop in parallel, enhancing overall learning. But can we use some tricks to help us carry out this activity more effectively? For example, to create effective tests for reviewing a topic, here are a few steps you could follow. Define the content as much as possible. The more details you provide about the content you want to reinforce your knowledge on, the better. Provide an outline, or even better, attach the materials you've worked on. Specify the goal of your consolidation. For example, do you want to reinforce accurate memorization of definitions, understanding of concepts, or knowledge of practical implications? Claudia also wants to give specific instructions about the types of questions she expects. That's what she says. Now let's start with the topic of types of business analytics. Give me 10 questions, including 3 open-ended, 5 multiple choice, and 2 true-false. Ask me the questions one at a time. The LM begins with question 1, an open-ended one. What is the main difference between descriptive business analytics and predictive business analytics? Claudia's is an interesting strategy. Remember that each format has a specific purpose. Multiple choice questions are ideal for testing specific knowledge and concrete facts. For example, you can ask the LLM to create a question with 4 options from which to identify the correct one. This format helps focus on key details and identify any gaps. True or false questions, on the other hand, are perfect for reinforcing fundamental concepts and correcting misunderstandings. This type of question can also be useful for quickly assessing understanding of basic concepts. For example, the sun. Is it a giant red star? True or false? Open questions, finally. They are more engaging because they encourage reflection and require more detailed answers. This format allows you to explore complex topics, express opinions, or analyze situations. It is particularly suitable for developing reasoning and communication skills. To make reviewing even more interesting, you can also use other strategies. For example, questions with increasing difficulty. You could start with basic questions to reinforce fundamental knowledge and then move on to increasingly complex ones. This approach allows you to build confidence and gradually prepare for more challenging tasks. We could also use the story or scenario-based approach, meaning you can ask your LLM to formulate questions based on realistic or hypothetical context. For example, if a business executive needs to make forecasts using AI, how would you proceed? This method connects theory and practice, making the activity more engaging. Or you could ask your LLM to pose challenging questions, that is, trick questions or those that stimulate critical thinking. For example, which of the following statements? It seems correct, but is it actually wrong? This type of question promotes deeper understanding and the ability to critically analyze information. To introduce an element of novelty and further stimulate creativity, you can also add a playful component by assigning yourself a score for each correct answer. This method not only keeps motivation high, but also allows you to track your progress over time by trying to beat your own score in future sessions. Or you can ask your LLM to play the role of the student while you become the teacher. In this setup, you pose questions that the model has to solve, and then you evaluate the quality of the responses it provides. This approach encourages understanding of concepts from a new perspective and offers the opportunity to practice formulating questions and providing explanations. Meanwhile, Claudia has taken a step forward and is asking her LLM to give her an answer for each response. Feedback that explains why the answer is right or wrong and quickly recalls the correct concepts. Ask me the questions one at a time, and for each answer, provide feedback that clarifies why the response is correct or incorrect, and quickly reinforcing the correct concepts. The question was, what is the main difference between descriptive business analytics and predictive analytics? Claudia answers, descriptive analytics describes the past, while predictive analytics is used to define future strategies, and the LLM gives her feedback as requested. Your answer is correct. Descriptive business analytics analyzes historical data to understand what happened, providing insights based on the past. Predictive business analytics uses statistical models and machine learning techniques to predict what might happen, supporting strategic planning. You correctly identified the time focus of each one. Remember, descriptive analytics is like looking back, while predictive analytics is looking forward. What great feedback the LLM gave her. Immediate and personalized feedback is a crucial element for consolidating knowledge, because it allows you to identify gaps, correct any mistakes, and strengthen understanding. When you receive immediate feedback, you can understand exactly where you went wrong and why, get explanations that deepen your understanding of the concepts, and strengthen your memory by correcting the wrong answers right after giving them. To fully leverage the value of feedback, you can adopt an approach where interaction and dialogue play a central role, specifying to your LLM that it should always provide you with rich and well-structured feedback. Claudia, however, knows that one of her weak points is formulating oral responses. If you also know that this is one of your weak points, you can ask your LLM to only ask open-ended questions and to accept your responses in voice mode. This way, you'll be able to practice even more. Also on this aspect, as we've seen, thanks to strategies like varying the question formats, gradually increasing the difficulty, using realistic scenarios, and requesting immediate and detailed feedback, she can count on an additional ally to make the consolidation and review phase more dynamic and engaging.